Again, glad to see everyone here. I also appreciate the folks who are supportive of the work that we do every single day with the Black Star Network. September 4th represented the 7th anniversary of the show, the 4th anniversary of the network. And, when we started this journey, there are people who said that Black News, a show or network wouldn't work. There were a number of people who said that. There were people who said that, sure, others have tried it, but it wouldn't work. And I said that they were wrong. And it was interesting, even the folks at YouTube, they were funding a lot of different shows, and they said that this concept wouldn't work. And so here we are 7 years later, and then when they lay out every week their top 100 podcasts, we're the only Black news show that's in the top 100 of all the shows across the world. And what it also means is that what we have to also understand is that we can't consistently talk about what we need or what we desire if we also are unwilling to support it. We've been lucky that we had more than 36,000 people contribute to our show since we launched. And there are a lot of folks, again, who said that those things would not work. They would not succeed because it's a whole different thing in this country when you center Blackness. I had someone, a good friend, came to me. He said, and this has happened multiple times. I've had people come to me and they said, you need to be on a larger platform. More people need to hear your voices. And I explained to them, I said, there's a difference between being on someone's platform that they own and control, where they dictate what the topics are, what the message is. They dictate the amount of time actually spent on that. And I said, it's a whole lot different when you are appearing on those shows in those networks, as opposed to when you get to decide what the topics are, who the guests are, how much time you give, where do you broadcast from. And that's what ownership is all about. The nation's first newspaper, Freedom's Journal, wrote March 16, 1827, "We wish to plead our own cause, too long have others spoken for us." And if we really want to be honest, one of the biggest problems that we have is that there are far too many of us who seek white validation. Yeah. Now, what I mean by that is that we're seeking approval from someone else or waiting on permission from someone else, as opposed to giving ourselves permission to actually do it. So when we spend sometimes 20, 30, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour on a topic, knowing full well it won't even get 5 or 6 minutes on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, all those different networks, then folks say, well, why would you actually do that? I said, because we're in a world where information is so critical. Misinformation is major. Disinformation is significant. And so when we have the ability to be able to use mass media effectively, then that's what we do. And so we're not even at this place if you don't have Frederick Douglass's North Star, Ida B. Wells Barnett writings about lynchings, or the Chicago Defender, the Pittsburgh Courier, Land Daily World, and a plethora of Black newspapers across this country. You don't have Negro Digest and Ebony and Jet and Essence and Black Enterprise and on and on and on. So we're here because Black-owned media gave us a voice. Before Newsweek and Time, the New York Times were quoting Dr. King on a regular basis. He was actually being talked about and had a column in Ebony magazine. Before national media really was focused on Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr., you frequently saw him every single week in Jet magazine. That's what happens when you own it and you control it. Again, you're not seeking someone else's permission. So what also has to happen is what we have to also then begin to do, whether we're talking about locally in states or in this country, we've got to be saying is, how are we actually supporting those media outlets that are speaking to our interests? So then you talk about Black-owned newspapers and Black radio stations and Black television stations and Black digital platforms. And so every person in here should be asking themselves, how am I supporting them with dollars and not just prayers? And I appreciate prayer. Prayer is powerful, But a lot of folk love to say, man, I'm praying for you, and they ain't giving a dollar. A lot of people will say, thank you for your work, thank you for your service, not realizing that, well, those things actually cost. Those things are real. So, I mean, as we speak, we're talking here. And again, when you own it, you're not asking someone permission. Because I own the network, because I own the camera, and I own the live streaming equipment, I can do what I want. So we're literally streaming this right now, but do understand that live streaming unit that's sitting right here on the corner, that's $16,000. See, we're talking about real costs. And so we have to recognize that freedom ain't free, which also means sometimes we have to also pay for our freedom. And that's critically important because we are facing a significant crisis in Black America in that we are on the verge of seeing Black-owned media extinct. Do understand, you do not want to see the day when we're having to ask somebody else to tell our story. So now they control how it's told, they control when it's told, they control how long it's told, they control who's actually telling it. And that to me is scary. And so this generation has to be far more focused on how we are supporting Black-owned media than just simply saying, great job, pat on the back, hope they actually come out to cover. We must ensure it's survival. We're not just surviving, because I'm really tired of us having a surviving conversation. I prefer a thriving conversation. So that means individually, folks have to challenge themselves to say, what am I doing when it comes to that? So I wanted to make that critical point when we talk about how important Black-owned media is in this city, in this state, in this country. So let's get right into it. Do me a favor. I want you to turn to the person to your left. I need you to ask them a very basic but fundamental question. Why are you here? Then I wanted you to turn to the person to your right. I want you to ask them the question, I really want to know, why are you here? Now, I want you to imagine, matter of fact, do this so you don't have to imagine. Pull out your phone, and I want you to open your camera app. That's not a rhetorical question. Every single one of y'all got a damn phone. Pull your phone out. Open your camera app. Put it on video. Flip the camera to yourself. And now I want you to hit record. And now you need to ask yourself, why am I at the NAACP Louisiana State Conference Freedom Fund Gala? Now you can hit stop. The reason I wanted you to ask the question to your neighbor and ask the question to yourself, because if we really are honest with ourselves, some of you are sitting in this room not for a meal. Some of you are sitting here not for, and I have no idea why y'all got cheesecake. I was thinking peach cobbler or chocolate cake, or that's another issue. Or some damn banana pudding or bread pudding, but I'm just saying. But I wanted you to ask the question to your neighbor and to yourself, because there are some people sitting in this room who are only here because this is your annual Negro checkoff event. And let me be real clear, I am not speaking to folk who are non-black. There are some people sitting in this room with big titles, with large responsibilities, who are failing black people. There are some folk who are sitting in this room who claim to love our people, who are in their positions because of our people. But when you check the record, they have done little for our people. And I'm going to be real clear to folk who are leery and who may say, well, why he got to go there? Because see, I need you to understand something. My maternal grandparents had 8 children. Those 8 children had 39 children. The 39 children had 70 plus children. The 70 plus had more than 120. And so I can go to Houston and literally see 200 people at any given weekend, any moment. A text message could go out to the family chat and we'll have 60, 70, 80, 100 without a problem. So I did not come here to find any new friends. I have no personal debt. I have no business debt. I owe nobody. So I'm not here hoping somebody can do me a favor. Now, I'm saying that for a reason because, and let me be perfectly clear, I'm a life member of the National Association of Black Journalists. I'm a life member of Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, the only real fraternity. The rest are youth groups. I just want to remind those with Alpha in their name, without Alpha in your name, you're not a real fraternity. So it's never wise to open your mouth before the speaker speaks, right? Which shows you the immaturity of other youth groups. So I'm a life member of NAACP, a life member of Alpha, I'm a member of a Sigma Pi Phi, the Boule, Prince Hall Mason, but none of that means nothing because I don't need anybody else calling me brother. Now, why am I saying that? Is because part of the problem that we have is we really don't want to say the uncomfortable stuff. We really don't want to challenge folks. We say, man, you know, but can we just sort of soft shoe it? I simply can't do that. And the reason I'm more than a little ticked off is because how in the world in 2025 can we sit in a room, get dressed up and drive our cars, talk about the things that we do, talk about our love for our frats and sororities and our organizations and our titles and who is a city council person or a mayor or a school board member and a judge, and you are sitting in the state where it's 1/3 black folk, and then when you look at the abysmal turnout in this state, then what you have to ask yourself, hold on, what you have to ask yourself is not how have black people failed in this state, how have black organizations like the NAACP, fraternities and sororities, other failed our people in this state. See, you got to challenge yourself as to what is it that you are actually doing to be a change agent in this state. Here we sit on this day, on today, and in 11 days, the United States Supreme Court will be hearing oral arguments in a case emanating from this state that could very well wipe out half of the Congressional Black Caucus And I need to understand, why are black folks in this state so damn quiet? Let me say it again. The callous case could wipe out half of the entire Congressional Black Caucus, which is the largest caucus of the Democratic Party, 62 members. 61 right now because my alpha brother Sylvester Turner passed away. At 62, how can folk in this state be this quiet when there is a wholesale assault on Black America, something that we have not seen in more than 60 plus years? You have a massive effort to defund every aspect of Black America. They are attacking academic, business, political, social, health, every aspect. It is a wholesale assault on everything that we have fought for since the end of slavery, with Reconstruction, going through 92 years of Jim Crow, the Black Freedom Movement, and many of us are walking around as if, as that great scene in Scandal where Joe Morton tells Kerry Washington, you're running through a field of daisies and bombs, you're running through a field and bombs are going off and you're mistaking them for daisies. It is literally happening before our very eyes. 400,000+ Black women out of jobs. Every Black nonprofit in America has been adversely impacted by the attacks on DEI. Law firms, medical field, billions in grants wiped out. The downflow is enormous. You've got this twice impeached, criminally convicted felon in chief sitting there who wants to wipe out the federal disadvantaged business enterprise program. That's $37 billion program. Last year on the Biden-Harris, $10 billion in federal contracts came to Black businesses, less than 2%, but a record $10 billion. They want to wipe that out. Just this week, they told Atlanta they were taking $37 million from the airport because of DEI. They're withholding $2 billion in infrastructure dollars to Chicago because he's pissed off. They're withholding $18 billion from New York City in infrastructure, and New York City has the largest group of Black folks in America. There is an attack on everything Black, to the point that they're even saying you can't even say Black. I spoke at the Black Women's Expo and sponsors literally said, can you take Black off the name? You got companies that are saying, hey, we can't sponsor your events because we do business with the FCC and they're looking at every single event that we sponsor. You've got Brendan Carr, the chair of the Federal Communications Commission, telling companies, I'm not going to approve your acquisition unless you get rid of DEI, unless you get rid of these programs. This stuff is happening right now, all in the last 9 months. And we've got more folk who spend more time learning the goddamn line dance as opposed to what is happening to our people. I can't sit quiet when I hear young sisters and brothers say, I'm tired. How in the hell can you be tired when you literally ain't done a damn thing to break a sweat? See again, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in folks sitting here saying, yeah, but I mean, it's not that bad. When you see the attack on Black immigrants, when you see what has happened, first of all, if anybody knows the history of this country, in this state, when it was not a part of this country, you don't even have the culture of Louisiana without Black immigrants. And this thing is happening everywhere. It's going from federal to state to county to city, school boards. See, do understand that Supreme Court case? If this hardcore Supreme Court invalidates the use of race in gerrymandering, you're not just going to see half of the black caucus wiped out. You're going to see state reps wiped out, state senators wiped out, county commissioners wiped out. You're going to see city council members wiped out. The entire infrastructure of single member districts, which was hard fought. All of that. Now understand, those positions get wiped out. Who now determines the budget? Who now determines the contracts? Who now determines who gets hired? Folks, we are literally talking about the entire black political economic system that we literally died to achieve, that right now is sitting before us on the verge of being wiped out. So how could anybody be quiet and relaxed facing this? I need to understand, because I haven't received the call or the text. I am stunned with all this going on, that I have not. Somebody hit me and they said, every major black leader should be in Louisiana. But here's the problem. You can't come if you ain't called. And if you ain't been called, that means there's nothing to be called to. See, I'm talking about, we talk about organizing and mobilizing. We talking about how do we actually do this? We talk about how do we actually begin to move and mobilize people. I said it. How in the world could there have been an election for governor in this state, somebody black running, and then black folk don't turn out? And then you have an infrastructure of the Louisiana Democratic Party who didn't do a damn thing to properly mobilize and organize black people. And there are some black people sitting on the committee who are still there. What have they actually done? See, I understand, I ain't got a problem firing people. I have no problem moving folk out, because if you're not doing anything to actually advance the good, you got to go. Well, right now, because of what happened, and please tell me if it's happening, because I know it's not, but I don't understand why we are not seeing massive education efforts, not quarterly, not monthly. I'm talking about every week all across this state, breaking down the numbers, saying, okay, you talk about the 800,000 who are registered, but I don't care about registered. I want to know how many turned out. I want to know how many times they got a phone call. I want to know how many times they got a text message. But damn that, I want to know how many times somebody knocked on their door. I need to understand how are we pulling data to understand, breaking this thing down by precincts to know how many people who live in this particular area are eligible to vote, how many are registered, how many actually voted, then how we now mobilize and organize and knock on doors to actually reach those folks. See, that's why when I challenge various entities, various organizations, and we love sitting around talking in our public programs about, oh, we're doing this and we're doing that. But right now, if you literally go outside this building and you go to cities and towns across this country, and if you ask somebody, an average black person, if you see somebody in black and gold, who are they? They can't tell you what the colors represent. If you say pink and green, they can't tell you. If you say red, white, crimson, and cream, they can't tell you. Or blue and gold, or any color. Why is that? Because too many folk in the D9 are so insular focused on our bullshit business internally, and nobody sees us externally, and then we wonder why people say we ain't doing nothing. So if you in the D9 and as a group, you ain't showed up at a city council meeting, a county meeting, or school board meeting as a collective, I'm trying to figure out what the hell are you doing? Ain't that much business inside of your groups when you ain't shown up at a community event. Same thing with the Prince Hall Mason. I was talking to one of the brothers. He said, hey, man, we got this event in D.C. We got to march. I said, oh. I said, we got to march. Where are we marching? I said, two, why are we marching? I said, I'm not putting on a black suit and a black tie and gloves and an apron to walk down the street for no reason at all. Same thing for Eastern Star, Links, all these groups. We have so many organizations. The question is, what are we doing with our organizational power? See, again, you got to answer the question for yourself. We're cutting checks for dues, but what are we actually doing? See, that's the kind of challenge that we have to be giving ourselves. And I know somebody's sitting here saying, well, okay, that's fine. But do understand, if you read Dr. King's book, Where Do We Go From Here, Chaos or Community, he literally said the exact same thing. So this ain't what I'm saying. He wrote this in 1967. In his book, he said that there are four groups that are prime position to liberate Black America: the Negro Church, the Negro Press, Negro fraternities and sororities, Negro professional organizations. He said all four of them have never fully given themselves to the liberation of our people. That's what he wrote. Okay, see, some of y'all look at me right now. Y'all like, okay, all right. I mean, I hear you saying that. Okay, so fine. Since you sit here think I'm just making this up, okay, not a problem. Because, see, it's all good because I got it right here. So let me go ahead and read it for you. This is in his words. There are already structured forces of the Negro community that can serve as the basis for building a powerful united front. The Negro Church, the Negro Press, Negro fraternities and sororities, and Negro professional associations. We must admit that these forces have never given their full resources to the cause of Negro liberation. There's still too many Negro churches that are so absorbed in a future good over yonder that they condition their members to adjust to the present evils over here. Too many Negro newspapers have veered away from their traditional role as protest organs agitating for social change, and have turned to the sensational and the conservative in place of the substantive and the militant. Too many Negro social and professional groups have degenerated into snobbishness and a preoccupation with frivolities and trivial activity. But the failures of the past must not be an excuse for the inaction of the present and the future. These groups must be mobilized and motivated. That ain't me. That's Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. See, the problem is, so many of us have gotten caught up, and Dr. King been that civil rights mascot or bobblehead, where all we do is quote his mountaintop speech. We quote his I Have a Dream speech, but see, we only quote the bottom of the mountaintop speech, but it was the last 2 minutes, was another 41 minutes where he talked about the importance of Black folks moving as a collective in order to change our condition. See, we do the same thing white folks have done. Play the mountaintop speech in a theological context. That's the hoop part, but you can't get to the hoop part unless you go through the scripture and the thesis of the sermon. So when I asked you the question, why are you here? That was a pivotal question, because if you're sitting in this room and you're attending the conference, the question then becomes, what do you do leaving here to actually be a real agent of change? Once you take off your suit and your tie and your dress and your pumps and your tuxedo, are you willing to put some overalls on to go to the very people to begin to change some stuff in our community? That's really how you have to answer the question. Because so many of us are playing this thing safe because we are so comfortable in our present condition, and we are literally watching as the attacks are going all around us. And what is happening today is going to have a negative implication for our children's children. See, so you now got to answer, you now got to confront yourself, which is why I want you to record this, because see, here's what's going to happen. If I'm thinking 10, and I'm not talking about 100, I'm talking about 10, 15 years. If all of a sudden we're the road that we're on right now, and we see not just the unraveling, but the total destruction of Black infrastructure, let me tell you what's going to happen in 10, 15, 20 years. It's going to be some grandchildren asking, what did you do when they were putting a blowtorch to Black America? See, if you're in this room and you are still talking about the deacons of defense, from the 60s and you not created a 2025 version of the Deacons of Defense, first of all, let me just go ahead and ask this question. Raise your hand if you even have any idea what I'm talking about when I say Deacons of Defense. That's part of the problem right there. 1/3 of this room raised their hands when you had a group of black men who were involved in the church, who literally were protecting black communities from the Klan. Y'all, that happened in your state. It happened down the road. So maybe part of the problem we have is we got some highfalutin Negroes in here who don't even know our own history. So if you don't know your history, you don't know where you're going because you ain't got no clue where you been. See, I told y'all I ain't come here to make no friends. I'm trying to tell y'all, what I'm laying out here ain't a Louisiana thing. It's in Texas, in Mississippi, in Arkansas, in North Carolina, in South Carolina. It's in every state. They are trying to do everything to take black people out. Conservative billionaires have said, they have been lauding Charlie Kirk as if he was Jesus or a saint, and he said out his own mouth that the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a mistake. Robert Mercer, who funded Breitbart, literally said America began to decline with the passage of the civil rights laws in the 1960s. You see, now you got to say, well, I don't understand. Why are they so bothered because of the Civil Rights Act of 64, the Voting Rights Act of 65, and the Fair Housing Act of 1968? Because see, what you have to understand is that the work of black people has freed America. If you're a woman, especially a white woman, and you are a doctor, a lawyer, a dentist, a teacher, an architect, an engineer, you are there because of Title IX, 1972. Now, you ask the average person, well, first of all, Title IX was not about sports. Title IX was about going after the graduate programs that were denying women an opportunity to get graduate degrees. And it said that if you're receiving federal research dollars, you cannot discriminate. Because of Title IX, an explosion of women began moving to corporate fields. But see, when you ask those same women, especially white women, well, can you tell me where Title IX come from? They can't tell you. They just say Title IX. Well, Title IX comes from the 1964 Civil Rights Act. Yeah. If you are disabled and you now appreciate the American with Disabilities Act and now how it has changed ramps and hotel rooms and everything, you got to thank black people. Because the American with Disabilities Act is a result of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. See, if you are Vietnamese or Korean or Chinese in Louisiana and you get to vote in your native language, you got to thank black people. Because you can't vote in your native language without the 1965 Voting Rights Act. And then when you begin to look at how you can now live in different places all around, you got to thank black people. Because that's the 1968 Fair Housing Act. If you sitting in this room right now and you gay, and you are so happy because you can call a woman your wife, a man your husband, you got to thank black people. Because without one of the Reconstruction Amendments, the 14th Amendment, Equal Protection Clause, that's one of the Reconstruction Amendments, 13th, 14th, 15th, you got to thank black people. What I'm saying is nearly every civil right in this country that people are enjoying are a result of the bloodshed of black folk changing the very laws to actually get it done. Nobody has benefited more from affirmative action than white women. They should thank black people, because were it not for affirmative action, those things would not be happening. All I'm trying to say is that they are targeting everything that we have fought and died for. And at some point, folk today got to be willing not just to fight for that, to reclaim that, but to say, no, we're going to take more territory. We got more stuff to do. This is a moment where this generation has to stand up and wake up and get involved and get activated and not be silent and not be complacent and not be complicit. You've got to make a decision. What am I prepared to do? So if you came to this conference for a dinner and a speech, you failed yourself. If you came here and did not recommit yourself to the fight, then all you did is waste your time. This is a moment where real black folks have got to stand up, stand out, fight like hell, and challenge everybody who wants to take us out. So you got to make a decision today. Are you willing to get in this game? Are you willing to fund it? Are you willing to organize, to break a sweat? And then you must do as my frat brother Burton Woodson Taney told him, we're going to fight until hell freezes over. Then we will fight on the ice. What? Yeah, they got the brother started. So now I think I can get started. Now, remember I told y'all earlier, we start this thing off with, what are you willing to fight for? Because there's a difference when you're a free man.
Yeah, it is.
Because see, when you're free, you don't owe your oppressor a damn thing. It was Brother Louder who broke down and said, there's a difference between a field Negro and a house Negro. Brother Malcolm said, you see, when the field Negro wants to get all the people together so they can get away, and he goes to the house Negro and he asks the house Negro, you ready to leave? And then the house Negro says, why is we gonna leave? What's better than what we got here? You see, he went on to say, the house Negro, he's happy and content with the scruples and the crumbs that the master gives him. While the field Negro says, I'm going to die for my freedom. He said, when the master gets sick, he said the house Negro says, what's wrong, boss? We sick. We sick. And see, that's a sickness that has to be eradicated inside of our communities today. You see, my good brother Roland, he ain't doing no preaching. Because the reality is we have not done enough. And as somebody who is a part of the Louisiana Democratic Party, I'm willing to say we have not done enough. Because why is it that we have 80% of the party that's African American and we have not spoken to them, reached them, and tried to collaborate with them to give them a reason to vote? We haven't touched those folks. And that's something that we have to change. But first we got to look ourselves in the eyes and say, what have we not done? As he said, we haven't advocated enough. We have not spoken enough about black issues. We don't care as much as the other side does. Point of contention, Charlie Kirk. I said, this don't talk about Charlie Kirk. I'm going to talk about Charlie Kirk because one, I'm a free man. Number two, the truth got to be said. Now, nobody should say that somebody's going to die in front of their kids so they can see it over and over. But the reality is this. The power of the tongue is real. What you put out is what you get back. That's how the universe works. That's what he said. Chickens always come home to roost. But the point that I'm making is, we've got to care as much about our issues as they care about theirs. Yeah. These people were willing to storm our United States Capitol for what they thought was right.
Now, I ain't telling you to go to jail, but I'm telling you to fight. Because the people that came before us, ancestors, they fought. The question you got to ask yourselves, and this is for all the kids, the young people inside of the building, what's going to be left standing when this is all done? Now, we can leave here tonight, go back to our silos and do nothing, or we can start making phone calls tomorrow. Half of you going to be in your church, talk to somebody inside of your church and tell them what's at stake. As you said before, there's a court case that's going to decide how the Voter Rights Act will be interpreted moving forward. That person comes right here from Louisiana, and we ain't doing enough screaming, whooping, and hollering to say why we shouldn't be. And you know, the biggest audacity of it all is that they're using the Equal Protection Clause to say why we don't need another majority seat. Now, if that don't make you mad, I don't know what will. Because that's the same clause what got us here today. Why you have a Senator Barrow, why you had a Councilman Lamont Cole, Councilwoman Carolyn Coleman, and all of our other black representatives, even myself who served on the East Baton Rouge Parish School Board. Ask yourself, what's worth it? Because if your family ain't worth it, if your kids are not worth it, if your grandkids are not worth it, if your grandparents are not worth it, what is? Why do we even do this? Why even come here? It ain't about preaching, but it is about fighting. And y'all, it's time for us to fight back.